Now, this software we use on a regular basis. Microsoft SQL Studio, SQL Server Studio has been there for, I would say, 15 plus years. I've been using that. They have now latest version, I believe it's 19. But again, if you have used any time Microsoft SQL, I'm sure you must have used SQL Server Studio. And Azure Data Explorer is kind of lighter, has a little bit more goodies than this one. This one was designed for database only, and Azure Data Explorer is designed for someone who wants to do coding, who wants to do various data connections. It's kind of lighter, so people started using this. Again, you can use either one. So we'll install and we'll try to. So this is where our main focus will be database and our customers. So before break, I'm hoping we should be able to complete SQL Server, and then we'll cover customers. So far, so good. Now, let me jump into our forum. I have special forum for this specific topic. So I'll go there, show you, because I designed specifically because it required special focus. Focus wise, it is database. So if you have seen is yeah, okay. So in homework perspective and lab perspective, there is a link here. So I'm going to click here and I'm going to provide you that also in a chat. So you guys can also take a look. I designed this thing and I'll keep working on that because I like to have a forum, so a single point of access to all the resources. Your homework is also listed. Now, as it comes, let's understand some theoretical topic and then we'll do that. Whenever somebody says database, in our real life, database is very common because it is used for storage purpose, right? Anyone who wants to store some data, they use database. Now, database right now, there are two types of database. One, which we call structured database, means you store all structured information, means everything will be same. And one is non-structured, which we call NoSQL. NoSQL means there is no schema, there is no structure, so it's up to you. Like example, anyone who has used relational database, where you create a table or entity, right? And then you give a column name. So first you have table name, right? So database has bunch of tables. So database has a bunch of tables. Now you say, what is table? So table is nothing but grouping where you store a particular entity. It can be person, it can be place, or it can be thing in a structure form. So example, if I want to store student, then I have table name student. Whatever entity you want to store, you create a table. So student. Let's say I want to store book, the table name will be book. And then you provide column student ID, student first name, student last name, student email, like that type of information you provide. And then you keep storing all student information. The database perspective, structure will remain same for all students. It doesn't matter the student is kindergarten student or student is like a doctor or engineer. They all have to follow the same structure. And the structure sometimes we call schema. Structure we call schema. Now, this structure has a couple of important information. The first information, every structure will have columns. And columns, like example, ID, first name, email, phone, has data type. Now, data type means, like example, ID can be numeric, first name can be spelling, email can be spelling. Now, you can also define constraint. You can define constraint. Constraint means what is allowed, what is not allowed. So you can say ID is required, first name is optional, email is unique. So you can create a constraint also. So this all beautiful part, I think many of you are knowing about it. In case if you are not knowing and if you want to know more about it, we will be starting database class soon. I think that will be a little bit next Saturday. We will be starting database class around 10:30 or 11. I'm not sure exactly, but that we cover Oracle database, where we go around 6 to 8 weeks, where we cover database, we cover SQL, we cover how to create the structures, joins, views, store procedures, transaction, a lot more things we cover. But in this class, because I just want to give you high level, in this class, we are actually creating a server. We are not really learning database as a database user. We are actually creating a server, which we call Microsoft SQL Server, or we call Azure SQL Server. And once I create a server, how am I going to verify that the functionality is working or not? So for that, I need to create a database, I need to create a table, I need to create some records, and those the reason I'm explaining right. So far, any questions? So far, so good. Awesome. So let's get a little bit detailed as I have here. You may be asked a lot of questions in the exam about comparison. So when we talk about relational database, Azure can provide any data. So you can have MySQL database, you can have Azure SQL database, you can have Postgres, and you can have MySQL. Now, please understand, the Azure SQL database has a lot of flavor. The first flavor, the old legacy software. If you use legacy, then you might have used word Microsoft SQL Server. Now, if you use Microsoft SQL Server, my question is this same or is it different? What do you guys think? Are they same or different? They are different. They are not identical. So Microsoft SQL Server, whatever the cool features or common features, they took it and then they improvise it. So people have a challenge. Challenge number one, if I'm using Microsoft SQL Server, let's say 2016, just an example, that's the version I'm using. And if I want to go to cloud, it won't be easy for me to move my SQL Server, which is legacy or on-prem server, to cloud. There are a couple of reasons. First, there is no 100% feature mapping. Feature mapping means whatever I could do in my Microsoft SQL Server, I cannot do 100% as is in Azure SQL Server. Now the question is, if I cannot do it, technically speaking, I can move to cloud. So to solve this problem, what Azure has done, or Microsoft Azure has done, they created some options, and these options they will ask you to check. For example, one, if your old legacy, you cannot directly use Azure SQL. So for them, there's an options available, which is called Microsoft SQL instance. Microsoft SQL instance, I'm going to show you. It is kind of lift and shift. So whatever you can do in on-prem, you can do that thing in cloud. But that is kind of lift and shift. Means it allows you to come to the cloud, but you're not really using cloud at all. And there are other options where they have migration script of it. So if you use migration script, it can tell you you're doing here this way, but if you use this one, then you need this one. And most likely, I would say 80 to 90%, you will be able to just lift and shift. But there are 10% you may need to do re-architect or reconfiguration, which is not huge, but some company, like example, Bank of America or JP Morgan, they may not want to take even any risk. So that is another reason Microsoft has given a couple of options. I'm going to show you. This one, SQL Server, is still licensed one, so people are a little bit worried about cost. But if you think about SQL, MySQL, or Postgres, or MariaDB, these are free version. So because it's a free version, people like to use that. So you see most companies are using Postgres because it is better than MySQL and it is free version. Anyone who use microservices, they use Azure Postgres, Postgres, because this is available in all cloud providers. So example, AWS offer that, Azure offer that, Google Cloud Provider offer that. Good news, you can install locally. And you don't have to have license or any extra cost. So majority people use Postgres in order for that is web application development or microservice development. But if you go for a company who are proprietary or those who are like to provide service to millions of customers, they like to stick with the license provider because if there is an issue, company will help. So most companies use Oracle or Microsoft SQL or DB2 because these are supported by the respective company, and that's why we are using. Any questions so far? So if you go down, this is what first thing you need to remember. So if you are, as I mentioned before, if you are doing old applications and if you want to move, then there is a concept called manage instance. So if somebody says, what is manage instance? Just remember this word, manage. Manage word means Azure will do all work. Azure will do all work. The only thing you can use is your data. But server configuration, server optimization, backup, restore, patches, scale, all things will be done by Azure. Best option for lift and shift. Remember this one because it's very important for exam perspective. Because Azure does that. But it's a managed instances. It means it's not going to, you cannot do all control because this control is done by Azure. But if you want to do control, there is another option. You can still use migration, but you have control at operating system level because you are using SQL virtual machine. But here you are taking too much responsibility. Scale, performance perspective, security perspective, backup perspective, you are taking everything. So here you own it, and here you rent it or lease it because you are using managed service. Managed service means majority operation work will be done by Microsoft. So that's it. Now, ideally, we should be using this one. And this is the model, and this is where everyone should use it. There are two options available. One is called instance-based. So instance-based means EC2-based, and one is called serverless-based. Serverless-based will cost you less. However, certain level you will not get. But if you do EC2, not EC2, I'm saying instance-based, if you take instance-based, then you get a lot of flavor, and you can have a little bit configurations like how to optimize. You have a little bit flavor because you can customize. If you use serverless, you have no idea how the hardware optimization will happen. How you will be paying significant lower cost because that is managed by Azure. Now let's come back. It's easy way. These two options are your migration, and this is for cloud. So if I'm developing a brand new application, this is my option for new application. If I have existing application, then these are my two options. If it is lift and shift for interim period, I will go for this one because this is so simple. There's no need to worry about it. And this is like work, but you don't want to stay here longer because it is possible that Microsoft or Azure will stop the support here. So ultimately their focus is you should move to cloud. So it's very important because of some legacy thing. If you are not moving to cloud, there is a path forward. After that, you should move to database. Good so far? Now let's go down a little bit. Now we talk about here. Well, now there is one thing they ask in the exam about elastic. So let's understand what it is. So normally when you create a machine, you have CPU, memory, and all, right? So like example, let's say I have virtual machine or instance, whatever we call instance or virtual machine. Every instance of virtual machine, you have CPU, your memory, and your hard drive, right? Now, if you use it and then you install SQL Server here or Azure here, then this will be your single tier. Means you are having only one machine. Sometimes it works if it's just one, but if you are going to have like hundreds of customers and various database, then this may not be the right choice. This might be choice for microservice because microservice you have limited UI, right? Limited UI, you have limited programming, which is a service model, and you have limited database where scale may not be that huge problem because you are doing many limited requests, you are doing limited processing. But think about Sears or think about Bank of America. They have a huge database where they have customer database, they have order database, they have product database, they have employee database. When you have a bunch of database, then this model which we have, which is very operation heavy. And second thing, the cost will be significantly higher because you're paying cost for each machine. You're paying cost for each machine, and sometimes each database, if you try to do microservices and all, the cost will go significantly higher. So the company who are using a huge, what you call database resources, and they're offering software as a service, like example, Salesforce and all, what they do is they behind the scene, they use a pool, which is called shareable resources. So shareable resources, this is called elastic pool. And all your database will be using that resources. So it's a shared resource. If somebody uses more and somebody uses less, you will be charged appropriately. Elastic pool allows you significant cost optimization because here, let's say example, I create machine, but I'm not using it, I'm paying it. And if I multiply by 10, then I'm paying 10 times. So please understand, when you are doing the single instance, you are paying cost, regular cost. This is good, but if you multiply by 100 and out of 100 database, few database you are using more often, but others are not using. In that situation, Elastic Pool will be better. In Elastic Pool, you are using shared resources. So you have much more opportunity to scale here, and you don't have to worry about individual. Here, when you try to scale, please understand. Here, when you try to scale this machine, there will be downtime because application might be using old resources, and now you're trying to do scale, so there's a downtime. In Elastic Pool, you can add anytime, you can remove anytime, and there is no downtime. So if you're heavy on software as a service and multiple database, this is very important topic. You should do Elastic. Again, you will not see as a user, but you as an architect, consider. This will allow you cost optimizations, greater benefit, performance perspective, and it also improve your availability because you are not really having a resource constraint. And last but not least, manage instance, which is we talk about. Azure does that, but this is only for different shifts. So right now, this is only for tiny applications. It's a preview model, so you will not see an exam as well. But Elastic Pool guarantee a question in the exam. Questions about. So far, so good. If somebody asks, why should we use Elastic Pool? Most reason is cost, because you're sharing. Why should you use Elastic Pool? You can dynamically add and you can remove without impacting uptime. But in a single instance, when you add hard drive, there will be downtime. So that may be a problem. And it's a manual effort because you are managing, so it's important. While here it's automatic. So you just say, I need to have X, and Azure will take care of that. You are paying a little extra cost for Elastic Pool, but you're getting tremendous benefit. Overall, your cost will go down, but because you're using share. So example, many database, if you do divide the total resources divided by number of database, the cost will be lower than each database has its own resources. Okay? So now let's get started. Let's log into Azure. Everyone, please log into Azure. Okay. Azure portal login. Let's log in. Give me thumbs up if you are already logged in. Good. While we are logging, I want to make sure you all install the necessary software. So for time being, there are so many software to install, and I don't think we can install all at once. So let's start at least installing database, Azure Data Studio. That will be easier to install for time being. So let's do control. I'm going to put it, if you see in the screen, I'm hoping you are able to see in Google Class. I posted it. Ideally, you should install all, but for time being, let's install Azure Data Studio. It won't take a long time. So I'm going to put a link in the chat.
Where are we installing them? On our desktops?
Of course, your desktop. So I'm going to click on the link. Your laptop, desktop, doesn't matter. So just scroll down a little bit. Your link here. Now I'm going to use, this is like Windows, and in Windows I'm going to use user install 64. So I'm using Windows. I'm installing user install 64. Now just click here. It will download the software. It's not huge compared to SQL Server Studio. SQL Server Studio is a little bit heavy. This one is lighter. So you see, I'm able to download. I'm able to download, and now let's install it. So now, if I go to this one, I'll be able to test. May not take more than a few minutes, but it's good to have the software because with this software we can test it out quickly. Right? So it doesn't ask too many things, just next, and then you should be able to install. So I say accept, and next, and I'm done. So it's pretty lighter software. SQL Studio may take like 10 minutes to install because download and installation, but this one is kind of, they're preferring that you should use this, but those who are using Microsoft SQL Server for many years, they will use Microsoft Studio because they are very comfortable. So they support both. Now, while it is installing, I'm hoping it will be done. Let's go back to Azure. Let it install so we can save some time. Now here, search SQL. So you can see when you search SQL, there are so many options you will see here. Now you have choice which one you want to use, right? So first of all, you have Azure SQL, right? You have SQL database, right? The same, right? SQL Server, SQL managed instances, SQL Arc. Arc means you can have database in a different cloud provider. You have that SQL virtual machine, right? So we will start with the SQL database. We'll start with the SQL database. Let's click on SQL database. So when you click on SQL database, you will get a lot of options. So let me know if you all are here. My Data Explorer is installed, so it will open. Good, thank you. So this is I'll keep it like, open because later on I need that. So I'll keep it open. This is my Data Explorer. Yes, Mike?
No, wrong button.
Okay, no problem. So I'll keep
Which one did you choose?
I'll keep the
one more time. What
SQL,
did you choose? SQL database, right?
database. SQL database, the first one.
That's
So when you search like SQL, right, you will see the first one.
okay, got it.
Now, again, this exercise is very lighter. Step by step, we'll do it. Make sure you have this thing available because it will help us. Otherwise, you will be not able to do the simple lab. Again, we are not going to do heavy lab on SQL Studio, but make sure you have this installation going on. So installation will be very helpful later on. Yeah. So right now, I'm in SQL database, right? In SQL database, if I click on create SQL database, it will give me same resource group and all. So today we're going to create a resource group. So we'll say, because it's a database, I'm going to create a new resource group. I'll say RGDB, resource group DB, because we are the first time. So resource group DB, you should remind me because database actually. So if I don't do proper job, I will get approximately $100+ bill by next week. So it's very important that you guys remind me before we close our today's session. We destroy our resource group. So far, so good. Now, as you go here, there are certain notes I want you to take because last time, if you remember, I asked you to store and many of you did not, and then you have a problem. There are a few things I want to take notes here as we go further. The first is the database name. So please understand, server is a machine. Server is a machine. And in machines, you are going to create multiple databases. So when you are creating a database, you need to know the name of the database. Second thing, you need to know the username of the database. And you want to know password because you want to know connection, right? So it's very important you log this information. If you don't log these things, then it will be harder for you to have connections. So right now we're going to do step by step. So right now database, so we'll say right now February, right? So we'll say, just make it like this. Hello, any question? Customer DB. If someone is to mute, if you're not talking, maybe Rajan, you can mute yourself. Yeah, so I'm going to do customer DB, and every time I'm going to save it. So this way it will help me. So I have a customer DB. Now it asks me to create a server. This server is nothing but hardware, CPU, right? Memory, like that. So we don't have a server as such. So we're going to create a new server. Please follow the flow. Create a new server. So when I click on create a new server, it's going to pop up and it give me a lot of options. Please understand, the server name has to be unique because otherwise it will cry. So good news, we have our name. Normally what I do is I copy this all information step by step here. Where did I copy here? So I have a customer DB. So I can say, let's see if I can use the same as my server name. So that way it will add a prefix on the server name. So I'm going to try that if it is available. So right now it's a server name is already taken, right? So in that case, I'll do 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So just make sure you make it unique. Don't use my name. If I use 1, 2, 3, you use something else. Maybe you can add T, A, B, something like that. Don't use my name, because if you use my name, then it will have a color. So it's very important that you use your name. Right? Please understand. We just started my friend. We just started SQL database. We just started SQL. So search SQL.
Yeah.
And then give a database name, customer DB, and there is a button called server, and we are creating a server right now. So server, you can give any name, as long as it's unique, it will take it. So I use customer DB 123. You can use customer Ola 123. That's fine. Right? Now, select this region by default where your most application is going to work. So, like example, if your application is, let's say, because you're doing microservice code, is application code is in East region, so it's a good idea that you keep your database there, because local proximity will get you better performance. Can I have multiple region? Answer yes. So in a real life, you will have multiple region. So what happens is, please pay attention. What happens? Your application, primary applications, may write here, and then you replicate the data to other region. This is called replication. Now people say, why do I replicate? What's the benefit? So replication benefit you get when, if your other customers would like to read the data, they can read from many sources. It means they get a better performance. So read can be from many sources, write can be one source. Ideally, write should be on one place so you can control better, but read can be from multiple sources. So sometime in industry we call read replica. Read replica means you are giving your customer opportunity to read from multiple places. So they don't have to wait, because if everyone comes to one server, you will have resource constraint and you will have performance problem. So part of this exercise, I'll show you how to do replica. Another question, can I have read and write from multiple places? Say yes or no. I'll say yes, it is possible. But the problem is, what happens? They both, if you are changing at the same time, this one is changing, then it has to replicate here. This one is changing, you want to replicate. But there are cases where both are changing same data. So which one should I take? So those kind of conflict will happen. And those are a little harder conflict. So that to avoid those type of conflict, people only keep write from one, read from many places. So majority company, they try not to allow too much write, they allow too much read. So think about, like example, Amazon. So if you think about Amazon is accessed by all over the world, right? But you and me, when we do product search, we are reading, yes or no? Like product search, category search, we are reading. But Amazon writing, Amazon writes that, only they write, and then they replicate it. So no matter you are in India or China or Germany, you are able to read, but you are not writing. So they control write part and read part everywhere it is available. So this allows you a nice replication. And that's very important. I'll show you with the graph and chart, but you will be asked often question. This is architecture question. Why do you need replication? If your customer is only in US, then you may not need too many replication. But if your customer is all over the world, maybe in Europe, maybe in Australia, and US is the main headquarters, then you can have write in US and read from multiple sources. Now question, if you use one write replica and multiple read replica, will you pay one-time cost or three-time cost? Three-time. Because their machines are identical. The only purpose will be same. So as you increase the replica, cost will double and triple and quadruple. Make sense of it? So you cannot just do it. You need to consider cost also. So example, if your customers are only limited, you don't want to do read replica because cost will increase because it's the same machine, right? So even though you are using for read purpose, cost will be similar. I'll show you with the example. Okay. Now, if you scroll down, authentication mechanism. Again, if you ask me, the best authentication is Active Directory, which is the Entra. But for us to set up and try and all will take a long time. So we are going to use SQL authentication. So let's click on it. Now here, I will humbly request you to remember your username and password because otherwise you will be in trouble. So first thing I'll say username. I'll write down. Please remember, okay? Otherwise we'll have trouble. So test Azure and password test at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to keep this way. So there is no mismatch. We are using SQL authentications and we are using this password. Please understand, passwords are case sensitive. So rather than typing, I would like to test it. So please understand step by step. So this is my username and password. The reason I do that because you will need it and I don't want to forget about it. Please understand, I selected SQL authentication and I give username and this is the password. I'm hoping everyone is following good. Now, as you go further, click OK. So as you do OK, your server is created. You please understand, you need to remember your server name because, or you can see the server name later. But this is the server name. Is nothing but it gives me significant clarity. This is my customer DB. I'm going to store all my customer data. In a real life, you can give appropriate name. So in real life, normally people use naming conventions. So naming conventions like they use like this way. So like example, if you are doing database, then they do DB. They start with DB. Now let's say if they are in US, then they use US. And then that if they're using data center, let's say Plano, then they use PL. Or if you are using Troy, they use TR. And then they are using for a specific application, like example for CS, then they do SRS. And then if they are using for special marketing, then they do MKT. And then there are database has a number, then they use 01, like that. So this way, when you see the database, you know why this database is used. It's a very important asset. So it's very important you go proper naming conventions. Okay? Now do OK. So now you will see here your database name. So Ola, in case if you have not seen, we are in a SQL database. In SQL database, we are creating a new resource group. This is our, we search here SQL database and we select it here. So now we create a new resource group. We have database and we have new server. At this moment, I'm hoping you have server. Now this is the question. Want to use Elastic Pool? Yes or no? So because I'm using only one instance, I don't need it. But if I want multiple, then I can say Elastic Pool. Elastic Pool will significantly increase the cost, initial cost, but in operation cost later on it will reduce. What is Elastic Pool? Think about that. Your hardware is shared. So your shared hardware, anybody can use it. So think about doctor office. In doctor office will be same and 4 doctors share. Like today A, tomorrow B, tomorrow C, tomorrow D. The cost will go down. And the Elastic Pool is like that. So right now I'm not using it. The workload, again, for development perspective, if you do that, you will have less cost because you are not using high-end optimal thing. But if you use production, the hard disk will be premium, certain features will be very high-end, so that will increase significant cost. Please understand, database is a very special type of server. You cannot stop it. It is 24/7. So cost will accumulate significantly. So you need to be very careful. Next, as you go further, right now we are using, which is a normal compute storage, right? Again, because we have development environment. But if I use production, just flip the production and see what happens. So if you flip the production, it's a hyperscale. And suddenly you can see Gen 5 vCores, zone redundant. So very important. So let's understand here. If I do production, I have redundant. And if I click here in development, I zone redundant disabled. Do you see that? So here development and here zone redundant. And you can see at the bottom, you can see in the bottom, this side, what happened. If I do production, it gives me this option. Now, anyone who use database, they have more worried about data loss. So this gives you data redundancy. So if you are using local redundancy, means wherever your database is hosted, right, you will have at least 3 copies there in the same places. So you are keeping 3 copies. This is the list one, local redundant, which is the 3 copy of that, which is costless. Zone redundant means your availability zone. So you are not only keeping all copy in one place, but you are also having a zone 1, zone 2. You are keeping multi-zone and you keep that. So even one region, in one region, your database will be now stored in multiple places. So this replica automatically done by Azure. So you don't have to worry about it. The only thing you select, but when you select, now you end up paying 2 times cost because you're going to replicate it. Again, choice is yours. Ideally, if you do zero redundant, so it's not only one region, but you're also going to put data in a different region. So if you are working on corporate America, then definitely you are going to use this tool. This tool is your choice. You will not use other. If your cost is significant concern, then last option you will select here, but you will never use local redundant for business purpose because it can go down, and if it can go down, you lose all your data and your application uptime may be impacted. Your data loss will happen. So it's very important you choose according to your risk what type of applications, how long you can expect the downtime. Again, there's a backup and other features are there. So you're not going to lose data. I'll show you as well. But having a redundancy is always a good thing. So right now I'm going to keep development. Please keep it development. Otherwise, cost will be significant. So don't change that.
Tushar, just want to make sure that I understood that. So it's all about backup redundancy, right? It's not access, right? It's not about what I wanted to say. It's about where if the data get lost or not, right? Because of let's say power outage or something like that. That's what the backup storage really is all about. Right?
This one
this
is for backup. This is for backup. But replica is for read also. So if you do replica, then it's a read. But if you just focus on backup, then it's just a safety net. But if you use replica, right? Read replica if you have that also a backup, right? But that is you also actively use. Backup is not used, but read replica is used. I'll show you as well. So if you say I
okay.
I already have a replica, then I can use it.
So there is no choice for replication, right? Where is the choice for replication? I can see the choice for backup redundancy, but I don't see. Okay, it's later. Okay, so this choice is only for whether what risk are we able to take with regard to data loss in case of outage, right? This is that, and then replication is in different setup. Okay,
yeah, it's coming. Yeah. So now, no problem. Now let's go to next networking. In networking, we do not change much because technically speaking, networking we do not change. But there is a one to understand. You are having a laptop. Please pay attention. You are having a laptop. This laptop is outside, and the cloud is here. So technically, please understand. Technically, database has to be more secure. So you can see no access. It means no one can access from outside world, technically. You guys understand? So by default, it's not accessible. So we cannot do that. So we have 2 choices. Either we do public and we do private. But private means the way it works is, let's say, example, you are in Azure. If you are in Azure, and this is your server where your database is here, right? And your application is here. Then that application can you access because that's a private. You're still in a VNet. Makes sense? But for me to show you with this data explorer, your laptop is quite different. You're outside world, right? So only I can show you lab through public. But when I make a public, I might have security problem because anybody can access it. Do you guys agree? So to solve that problem, we have an opportunity to whitelist some of the IP. I use word whitelist. Whitelist means only traffic you allow from certain IP, which is your IP. So there is one thing called client IP. Client IP means only your laptop can connect, which is giving a little more secure. Or you can give a range of IPs. But public doesn't mean everyone will be able to access. Question is, if you don't set up that way, that only this IP or only this range of IP, then yes, others can access it. So ideally, database should be private, so no one can access that outside world. But for me, to show the lab, I'm going to do public. Makes sense? This is the development. Production, you will never do public. Okay? So let's click on public. So when you click on public, it is immediately asking, are you sure you are doing what you are doing? Because you are allowing access to the resource. So now there are two options: allow Azure service to resource. I would say no, it's fine. But here, please understand, I'm going to say yes. Because if I don't do yes, then I will not be able to connect to this box, right? So let's do yes here. So we will say yes. So when I do yes, it will automatically detect my IP address and add it. Many times when you do lab, you find yes, and you will have a connection error. So when you get a connection error, you know that this is required. Good news, you can change later also. So it's not like end of the story. You can change later. So I'll show you once. Now let's go to next. Now here we are using default. Normally company also use some kind of proxy in order for them to connect to the database. So if you are using some pattern, proxy pattern, you can select also. But we are using default, which is there. But all connections are proxy via Azure database thing. In a real life, people use gateway because the reason they use gateway, so if somebody hacked this one, still they will not be able to hack. So normally this is called a virtual IP type of thing. No one knows directly database IP address and all. So you kind of hide that. So you make this exposed, but from here to here, you kind of keep it local and private. So this way you can secure. So another best practice for you to secure your database. Right now we'll keep it default. And now let's go to next. Remember, I have selected type yes, okay. Now let's go to next security. So in security, here there are a couple of options available. I don't think we need to change any. So example, enable Microsoft Defender for SQL. We are not doing anything. So I don't think we need to change anything here. So let's continue. So we'll say additional setting. Let's go there. Now here also we are not doing anything. The maintenance window, in case if you are using that. So you can see here, data sources start with the blank database restored. So there is one exercise we'll do. When you start this database, they have options available. So we'll select one sample database, which is, I think, AdventureWorks. Those who have used Microsoft Access or SQL Server, there is one database called AdventureWorks. So what we are saying here, if I create a database, I can have one sample database available. So let's click on sample. So it will create for us adventure database. I'll say, okay, create for me. So it's okay. It will create for me. Make sense or not? Because you can see something which I can show you in practical. Right? Now let's go to next. Now here, in case if you want to write a tag, for example, this database for application name, owner, who is the owner for this application, the subscriptions, right? Anything you want to write, which for filtering purpose, you can do that. Now go to review, preview. So now you can see here, we have selected all these options, and now I'm going to create it. And it will take approximately a few minutes to create the data. So we have to wait for a few minutes, and then you will say go resources. And once you see that, your database will be created. So far, any question, concerns, doubt? Yes, good so far. People on phone, are you guys doing good so far? Awesome. Let's give a couple of minutes. It will create it. While it is doing that, I just want to take time and cover theory part. And once we cover, we'll do the application and all. I'll show you. So let me go back to my theory part, which is here. So in the coming, after this exercise, we are going to connect with the what you call Azure Data Studio. Now, in Data Studio, there are a few things I want you to understand. It's just like a VS Code. In case if you use VS Code, it's just like that. So you may like that. So here we will establish connection. So when we establish connections, it will ask us three, four things. First, it will ask the host name, which is the server name. Good news, we know that. Then it will ask me username. Good news, we have it. Then we'll ask the password. Good news, we have it. Once we asked it, it will show the database in a drop-down box. So once you select the database, and when you say OK, you will see Explorer. In this side, you will see everything. Database, the structure is database. And in database, you will see tables. All your tables you will see. If you have stored procedures, if you have something, you can do. And this side in the middle, you can write a query. So I want to show you that part. Now, this software is very, interesting. Using this system, you can do Postgres also. So you have to install Postgres extension. So when you install Postgres, you can also select here type of database. So in the drop-down box, you will see when I start, it will be only SQL. But when we add an extension for Postgres, you will see that. If you want to add an extension for MyRDB, you can do that. So you have many options to add extensions. So when you add an extension, then you will see the drop-down box, that particular database type, and then same concept. You need a server name, username, password. So basically, this same client can work with multiple different databases. So example, Postgres, MySQL, Oracle, and others. You don't have to install. But Microsoft SQL Studio only works with SQL. That's why they want you to use this one. So in case somebody asks, why should I use this? But this one is very diversified too. It also have a Git corrections, which is kind of nice. And it also allows coding also. So you can do coding also here. While in SQL Server Studio, you can do coding, but you can only do coding for TSQL, which is a transaction SQL of easy language stored procedure of Microsoft. So now I think it should be created if you are lucky. So now it's created. So let's click on go to resources. And when you go to resources, you will see your server name there. Can I count? Everyone is able to see server name there? Mm-hmm. So first thing first, let's see what we have. So first is a pricing tier. So pricing tier right now we have selected this. You're welcome to change in case if you want. The second thing, it will also tell you where you created this. So I created in East. This is my server name. Now I'm going to do step-by-step approach. First, we're going to connect it. So let's click here and copy and connect copy. So I click and copy. So when I copy it, I'll come to here and then click on create connections. Please follow the flow, otherwise you will be behind. So create connection. And when you click on create connection, you will get a dialog box where you have to fill up this information.
How do you get there?
This one we install.
Oh, okay. You have to download that.
Yeah, that's in our
Oh,
in our Google class. This link we download and install.
oh.
Yeah. Now please understand, in this drop-down box, you might notice that this is what I was talking about. Right now it has only SQL. Okay, I'll show you how to install others. It's pretty simple. So now slowly select the server name, which is very simple. And our authentication type, if you remember, we have selected SQL login. And the username and password, we took a log. So we should have that. This is my username. And this is my password. I will check and just save. So I don't have to enter again and again. I normally don't type. I save it. And now when I save it, if everything is right, then if I click on drop down box, I should see the database, right? So you can see it's loading right now. It's loading and it will show me adventure database because I think we checked that, right? So it will take a lot of time. And it will show the customer DB and adventure. So let it give some time. If you're able to see, that's awesome. Normally it takes a little time. Let's see. Am I able to load it? Let's try connect because it is taking a little time. Hopefully by the time we connect, it will show up.
That's the only
Yeah.
master.
Yeah, you should be able to see, right? Mine is taking a little time, so I'm trying to do connect. So let's see. Because it's a latency part. But you can, once you connect, you will see all your database, all your tables in one single page. I can see now. You guys able to see here? If yes, congratulations. People on phone, are you guys able to?
Yes.
Awesome. So
Yeah,
now,
I see a lot of stuff. Were we supposed to use the customer or the other one?
no, I'm coming to that, but are you connected? Are you able to see that? Just say yes or no. Right? So the answer is yes, I'm able to see that, right? Master, you should never touch. Let me repeat. Master, you should never touch. This database is by SQL Server only. You should never touch master. So the only thing you touch is your own database, or you can create database. I'll show you everything. So please understand, when you are here, this is the customer DB, which is normally our, I would say, high level container, and inside we can create a table. Make sense? So in order for me to do that, I can just click here, double click here, so I can open it, and there are tons of things out there. But I don't need any of them. I just click on new query. Click on new query. So if I click on new query, I should see like this type of query, query editor. So far so good. Now make sure you understand this is designed. This is designed for to test out and all. It is easy to verify now. So what we are going to do, I'm going to create a query. So I have written query in our Google class because some of you may not have database knowledge. So I have added query in our Google class, if you see in the lab. So please understand, simple table I'm trying to create. So I have an employee table. So this is the employee table. Please see here. So I say create table employee. This is dash dash is a comment. Dash dash is a comment. And in that table, I have two columns. So I'm creating ID, which is the integer. And then I have first name, which is the varchar. So this command can create a table. So table name is employee. And there are two columns, ID and first name. So you are creating that. And then this is called insert into EMP, which is your table. Values 1 and term. So 1 will go to here and term will go to here. So 1 term. And then we will do select star. Star means all column from EMP. So you can read. So first we'll run this one. When that runs, then we'll create our own table. So just will be comfortable. So rather than you struggle, I kind of created this thing. Just highlight and copy this. Highlight and copy this again in Google Class. Everything I'm trying to keep it in Google Class so you have access to that. Now, if I go back here and I paste all those commands, so now please understand, you can see it's color coded. This one is creating table. Can I add more table? Yes. Can I add more column? Right now it's only 2 columns. Can I add more records? So records. So every table have columns, right? This is the column means heading, and then every table may have records, right? You can add record as many as you want, and then you do select start from, which is kind of reading the data. You can filter the data, group the data. So those I teach in a different class, which is the database. But right now, you can just highlight that, right? Highlight one command and just say run. The reason you highlight run, so if there is an error, you can easily know. So right now you can see it ran and it is saying successfully. It means that command successfully completed. Now I'm going to highlight and run this command and see if that works. So I inserted one record. And if I highlight and run this command, then I created one record. So step by step, I highlighted. You can run all at once. Ola, it's all in our Google Class, my friend. Ola, can you see in Google Class? I can paste it, but there are so many things to paste. Could you double check it in Google Class, my friend? Yeah, because there are so many things, my friend. I want you to see a lot of things I added. It would be harder for me to copy one by one. I can copy this one, but it's a good idea that because when you do the lab, right, homework, it would be reference point, so you can be comfortable where it is, how it is, like that. If you don't have Google Class access, then I can help you, but everything in Google Class, so let's use that as a single access. So I'm hoping all of you are able to create this table. Awesome. So now let's say I want to create another table. I want to enter 2 records. So at least I can understand how it works, right? So let's say I want to create a login table, right? Where I want to have username, password, like that. So I want to create a login table. So how do we do that? So let's create it quickly. So we're going to say create. We can say create table. and then the login. So I'll create a table login in parentheses. Let's say login one. I'm afraid they might have login table also. So just do login one. And then let's say I said my column name is username, right? Username. And I'll say this is my varchar. Varchar means spelling. Username is 30. I'll say this is a primary key. Primary key means you have to enter this thing. And then say password. Varchar. And this is also 30 and not null. Not null means you have to enter. And then semicolon, which is the end of the. You highlight and run. So if you highlight and run, it will work. I will give you this command because this is something not in our column. So I'm going to add that. Please try a little bit and see how it. So create table login one. This is the table name. Then you do parentheses. Username, that's a column. Varchar 30 space primary key. Primary key, then you have column. Then password, varchar 30, not null. Varchar 30, not null. So what you are saying here, you are trying to create a table that called login one. And you have two columns, username and password. And here you are entering this detail. Make sense? Can I enter more detail? So right now I created a structure, login one, username and password. So I have this information. Now let me enter some value. So that is called inserting record. This is called creating table. So please understand it's not a case sensitive, but it has to be properly written. So first command, create table name. Second command, create the user, all together highlight and run. The table and two columns will be created. Now, if I want to insert, say insert into login one. That's your table. Values, and then you can say, let's say my username is Tom, and the comma password Tom123. Please understand, you are giving informations into this. Why it's not invalid? Oh, it makes column information here. So username should work, right? Oh, it's fine. Now you highlight it, and if I run it, that's what I'm trying to say. Database, what do you call it? SQL Server. SQL Server doesn't have that single quotation problem. Insert into login one. I think it's trying with the password, I believe. But let's see. Invalid column name Tom. Right, understand column. Let's do single quotation. And that is Oracle has a single quotation problem, but this one SQL Server does allow it. But anyway, let's try that. So now if I run that, and here you go, successful. So it's a single quotation. Let me try another username without this thing, insert into login one, and then I'll say values, and let's say start, right? And comma, used to like double quotation. SQL Server, start, single quotation, comma, single quotation, start 1, 2, 3. Now semicolon. So I can run this command, and I can run this command, and I can insert one more value, right? So this is one more record I'm inserting. I'm going to give you this thing. Give me 1 second, and I can verify did I insert two records. So select star. Star means all column from login one. That's my table name, and semicolon means end of the line or end of the command. So you can see here, I can see my two records. So I'm going to give you all in chat just to make sure I have access to that. So give me a thumbs up if you're able to. Pretty easy. So right now, what you are doing, you're working with the Azure database. And now anybody can work. Do you guys agree or not? People on phone, any questions so far? Right? You're doing good so far? Now let's try to configure replications and all. So let's go through that. So now we are understanding. So let's follow the flow. We are going back to our Azure. Now, if you scroll down here, there is an option called replicate. Now, Replicate is a very powerful option. So we're going to try that and see how it works. If you guys are okay.
So Tom, just one question, can I?
Go ahead.
So we created the database with the public and that's why we were able to connect. And the server name was matched to the public IP. Where did that happen?
Sorry, my mistake. This one.
Yeah, that is mapped to a public IP.
No. This is the domain it creates for you. So it is automatically. This is by default. Server has that because you say public, so it's automatically mapped. Yes, it's automatic. But we do not.
This name is automatically mapped in SQL database to a public IP, whereas if you did not give public IP, something like that server name will come up mapping to a private IP automatically.
No, it did not give you, but if you want to do that, you can do also, because then in that case, you can create your custom domain. In that case, you can have your own IP also. Normally,
my problem is different. I'm asking just because you remember when we were creating the public IP addresses, we had mapped the address to connect that, we had to go to the public address.
Right.
But this particular server name automatically got mapped to a public IP address.
Right.
That we did not select anyway. I don't remember selecting that.
No, we have
this name.
We just say public. We just say public exposed, right? So it is exposed to public. So definitely this DNS is mapped to public IP. Otherwise, we will not be able to access. Right.
Okay.
Now, in case
that part.
In case if you want to restrict further, there is an option available. You can go to set server firewall, and I'll show you. If you click on set server firewall, click on it. So click on it, you can restrict. Right now, it should added your IP address, but you can restrict. Right now, it is added my IP address, but you can also allow additional rules that what should I allow.
I don't remember adding this, right? Did we add this?
We added. Remember, there was check mark. There was a check mark. When we were doing this exercise, when we say public and there was a client, I want to access from client, there was a check mark and I highlighted that also. Otherwise, you won't be able to do the lab. Are you able to connect?
I'm able to connect. I did not do that stuff.
No, you did along with us. Otherwise, you can't connect. How did it add? You can see yourself. It added. We don't do it when we check. There is a button here, client IP allow. So we check that time. When we follow the thing, there was a button, client IP allow.
Yeah, but we did not give the IP address.
It automatically detect from, I thought I mentioned, right? It will automatically detect and it will add it as a white proxy. If you remember the word I used, white proxy, it will whitelist the proxy. Means your IP address will be whitelisted. So you don't have to allow Azure automatically detect your IP address and add that because you check that. Remember that two options were there.
I checked that client IP. I remember checking that, but I did not know that it will check my IP automatically and adds it. That part I did not understand. How did it? I mean, so it does an automatic detect of the client IP.
Now, almost every site does that. They are not saying you, but they know that, right? Because when you access any website in the world, you cannot access just like that. You are telling your IP address because this is your address. Right. And this is every day, every second you are doing. Though you are not seeing that, but you are doing that. Without that, how you gonna get traffic back? Right? Without that, you can't get traffic back. Right?
Yeah, that is definite, right? But I thought we had to explicitly set the IP address. So looks like it is implicitly.
This is yeah. So here you can specify like particular, if you want to have some kind of rule that this address range is allowed, you can specify the rule. You can control it much further. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So two things automatically done, which I did not. I thought I was a little surprised. One was the public IP address mapping to the server name, and second one, the client IP got automatically actually detected by the Azure server
Mhm.
or configuration,
Mhm.
and they knew my IP.
Okay.
That's,
So now,
that's all auto. Okay, perfect.
so now let's go back to our overview. And I wanted to show you the application, right? Where did my, let's go to overview one more time. So just click on overview. And there is my database. I have to go back to my database. So let's go back. So let's go back to your overview database. So I'll click here one more time and go to resources. So let me know if you are here in this screen because I want to see the replica, right? So let me repeat one more time. When you are here, please understand, when you click on this link, right? And then go to resources and you will see replica. If you are able to see replica, give me a thumbs up so I can continue. Replica is a pretty interesting topic. It takes a few minutes, but I want you to pay attention. Again, please understand, there are thousands of items are there. Even you can spend like 1 year, 2 years in this service and you will not be expert. But what we need to do is we need to focus on 80%, which is commonly used in a regular basis. So replica is one of them. So what is replica? So we have one server. We want to create a replica somewhere else. Now we have choice. Right now we are in East. I can create replica in same East or different region or totally different country. So if you do that, what will happen? If I insert record here, it should automatically insert it here, right? And the second thing, right now, if you remember, we have a table, login one table, we have this table. Will it automatically create? That's what we want. Okay. So let's get started. Few clicks and we're done. Click on create replica. Click create replica. So when you create replica, same process will be followed. It will ask you server name, database name, and all. So right now it says basic. Okay, yeah, sorry. Because it is asking me to create different database name because you cannot use same database name, right? So I'm going to create a new database name. So please understand, a little bit confusing, right? It states showing the error and everything is gray color. Wow, that's pretty bad, right? So basic, do you agree? Now scroll down and it is crying because of this name is already taken. The name is taken, so it's asking us to create a new name. So what we're going to do is click on create new. Please do create new. And what I'm going to do, I have my database name captured here. So I'm going to use this and then add a word replica. So this way we all understand. So word replica. Make sense of it? Please follow the naming convention properly so it will be easier for us to know what's going on. And now I'm going to use different region. See how we can toggle. So from East, maybe I will go to West. So I'm going to pick West. Again, I don't have to, but when I try to do replica, it's a good idea that I use different region rather than same region, right? Now, if I scroll down, same authentications, we're going to select SQL authentication. If I select here SQL authentication, please understand, I can use different username and password, but I'll use the same because I don't have a habit to remember all passwords. So I'm going to use the same username and same password. Do I have to? No, but I'll do it because this will save my time and I will never need to remember what username and password I use. So for second,
No, can you go up? What is there in that? I'm getting a window.
Did you type it or not?
I did a geo replica and create, right?
Then select this.
I get window where primary database, secondary, all that. I don't get.
You went ahead. I hope you are following me, right? Because you went ahead, I believe.
I don't get this window.
Did you click on replica again? What should you do again one more time?
Yeah. Okay, let me just go there one more time.
Because
Going overview.
So
I go to resource on the previous
Do you have to give it every time each
Yeah, you need to give a name, right?
unique?
Yeah. So there is a way you can
Create-
create multiple, but you still have to give name, right? Otherwise, how do you know? Right? These are real database.
Yeah.
Server.
Yeah.
It's not just like a copy. It's a real server. You can connect, you can work on that also.
But we cannot write on it. Like,
You can.
yeah, but if we don't give
Yeah.
permission.
It's just a configuration you need to do. But there is no difference between the main one and replica. There is no difference. That's why cost differs.
But just the name is different, but there's
Yeah, it's identical. It's just like a thing about mirror effect, right? You are saying this is the primary, this is the mirror. So mirror normally used for reporting purpose. I'll show you. Rajan, are you able to figure it out?
No, I'm not getting this window.
So maybe you have different issue there. Anyone else have any issue?
So I went to overview of my previous database, right?
Yeah, it should not be. This
And
is
then I'm doing a review. I'm getting a screen which says
Mhm.
server name and region I cannot even select.
Did you select database differently than I selected?
Should I create a new name for the server?
No, no. See, name or no?
create new.
Did you type new name or not? There was see. I think you're behind. Let me. How do I go back? Let me do one more time, okay, Rajan? Otherwise, you may want to look at carefully see that. See, we are here, but you are maybe like see here all are gray color. I don't know why you are here.
Yeah.
Right. I don't.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm
But
here.
I want you to read here. I want you to click here. Right? Why you are here? You should click here, right? Because this will create a new database. So let's follow the flow, please. And here type your database name because it's identical setup we have. There is nothing special or
Okay,
different.
I got it now. Thank you.
So now replica, and let's select the waste. Now scroll down, select use SQL authentication. Make sure don't make mistake because these are simple steps, right? SQL server, and then select the username and password save. Let's do it a little fast because these are simple. We need to make sure we complete this part very quickly. Same process we did for last database, right? And let's do OK. So this will help me to create new replica server. Just say OK. Again, it will take a review. Review screen. Now I'm not selecting elastic pool. Please understand. I'm not selecting elastic pool, so this is fine. I'm not changing in database. If you scroll down, it is asking, do you want backup storage? Local is fine. I'm not changing anything there. Make sense or not? Now let's go to networking. And this is where we will put client IP address selection. So networking. Now it says allow user service resources to access this server. I'll say no, that's fine. Right? Next, additional setting. Now enable Microsoft. No, we don't need that. And everything else is perfectly fine. Now, if you read carefully, it does say that your primary database is this, and your replica will be created here. It's clearly said. Now, please understand, whenever it's primary, it means read and write happens here. Whenever it's replica, means read happens. And this will be automatically done by Microsoft, which is Azure in our case. We don't have to do anything, right? So now, let's see. I'm going to create it. It's going to take a couple of minutes. It's going to take a couple of minutes to do that. So if I go there, I will have two database servers.
Tushar, on the networking, you choose yes, right? For the allow service resources to access this server?
No, nothing. No, next.
Okay, next.
Next. So right now it will take a couple of minutes to start it. Once it get a good resources, we will start to connect this database also and see if we are able to see the database. So if I add one record, you will see that record will be added in other database also. What is the issue, Ola?
I have an error.
What is the error?
On the customer DB replica.
No, what is the error? That's not error. What is the error? What it says? White field. You need to read the error message so at least we can find out. Did anyone else got error? We shouldn't be getting error unless you have specifically select something. The reason this reason is this one we have not specified any special thing which error out. So could you read the error message? Sometimes error message give you English, clear English. What is the reason?
An ongoing logical server request is already in progress. Please try your request
pressing two
again.
times. It means you are pressing 2 times. That's why you didn't get an error. You might have pressed 2 times. So maybe you need to wait for a few seconds. It takes time because you are creating whole machine, then you're installing SQL Server, then you're creating database. A lot of activity happens. Normally takes around 4 to 5 minutes. Now it's done. Now it's done. So if it is done, then please, you click on Go Resource,
I see.
and then it will take time.
Can I refresh it?
Yeah. No, don't use it. You will get a Go to Resource. I'm not doing anything. I just want you to see while you are doing that. So you can see you won't see the difference between one versus other. So you can see here everything exactly. This is now server name, but you can see there is a replica added. So this is the second machine. You can see the region. This is a different region. Make sense, huh? So now please understand what we are doing. We have primary. Please see on the screen so you avoid the errors. And you can easily do well. So you have secondary server. We just need a secondary, which is our read replica. Now, what I want you to connect, I want you to connect to this machine. How you connect? We have an Azure Data Explorer tool, right? So we're gonna connect with this machine. Make sense or no? So let's copy this thing. Please copy this thing. Copy this thing. Just clicking here, copy this. Once your new server is created, copy that. And go to your Data Explorer, which is this one. Right? And over there on this box, make sure you see on the screen. You click on the connection. And when you click on connections, you have options here. You can see on the screen, please. Always remember the best way to learn is paying attention. Right? Click on here. So you click on connections. So when I click on connection, pop-up will show up. You know what to do, right? Paste that information. Username and all we are identical, so it's kind of saving some time. Certain things, it's kind of easy for you because you have done this prior. So make sure you copy. Remember, this is something repetition. And if you click on database, you will see the database. You will see the database. Now look at that. This is the error I was thinking you will all have. Did you get it?
Yeah.
So, Rajan, did you get it?
little behind in this. I'm trying to connect now.
Okay.
My server just came up.
Yeah.
So let
So-
me connect and I'll get. So one second.
Yeah, so you all will have error. Please understand. You all will have error. Hello, hello, hello. See this thing. You all will have error because you are able to connect to your primary. Because in primary, if you remember, hello, in primary you added your client IP. But in secondary, did not give me option. Agree? It did not give me option. So I need to go to firewall and I need to add the IP. I need to add IP in a firewall. How to do that? I'm going to show you that. Okay, then you will be able to connect. So let's go to portal. I'm in a second. Please see here. I need your help, okay, guys, because the labs are pretty simple.
Yeah, I got it.
Make sure you all follow me. So lab is very simple. You are not doing coding. You are just doing few clicks. So you are in replica. Now we are adding this firewall rule. Why we are adding firewall rule? Because we're going to get error. Because our client IP is not whitelisted. So click on the firewall. So when you click on firewall, it will tell me how should I add. So I'm going to say here, I want to add my client IP. You see that it clearly says that add your client IP in the middle. If you carefully see that, you just click on the plus button and then say save or okay. So click on the button, plus button. So if you click on the plus button, it will add the whole entry for you and save it and you're done. So make sure you understand. You click on the plus button and then you click on save. So when you click on save, it will save that. Now your machine, your local machine can connect to your server. So now you can go a little bit back. There is a back arrow. You click on your database and you will see both database right there.
Okay. Okay.
So I can click on customer DB. Click on customer.
Yeah, I got it.
And now connect. And then when I connect, I should see another window. So now you can see I have two databases and names. We use proper naming conventions. So you can see here you have two databases. You can see the tables and all here. You guys agree? You can see right away.
Yep.
Two. One is the replica and one is the original. So if I expand table, I can see all my information here. But the best way to learn is create a new query. So always best way to learn is to run a query. So right now I'm in a replica. Please pay attention. I'm in a replica. I selected the replica and I'm going to click on new query. The reason I'm drawing it's easy to follow. New query. So if I click on new query, right now, let's say I will do select start from EMP, right? Select start from EMP. That's a table we have and semicolon. If I run it, I would see the top, which was the actually inserted, which is actually inserted on the first one, primary one. Yes or no? But I am able to see on secondary one. You guys agree? Right? So secondary one also say that now I'll go back to primary. Please pay attention. I'll go back to primary. I'll go back to primary. Now insert second record. And then I run the same in a secondary. Make sense or not? If I see that, it's replica completed. Are we understanding or not? First, understand the concept so you avoid the questions. Concept is very simple. You will insert record in a primary. If replica happens, then I should see the record in a secondary. There might be a little bit latency, but you will see. Now, good news, you have a tab here. If you see carefully. Good news, you have a tab here.
Tom,
Yeah,
where
one
did you
second,
say it is
let me complete this. Yeah, let me complete this because other people can follow forward. So you have tab here. Okay. So first thing, I want to insert record in a primary. Just 2 minutes, Rajan. I'll complete them. We'll take anyhow break. So In primary, we'll insert record and then we'll do secondary. If you're able to do, then take a break. I'll help Rajan. So let's do primary. I'm in primary, going in a primary. So you can click here. You can go to primary. So you can click here. You can go to click here, right? Click here, and you can say new query. Okay. So I'm in new query. I'm going to insert one record. Insert into. I'm in primary. Okay. Insert into EMP. And let's say this time I'll say number 3. Insert in EMP values. Number 3. And let's say Rajan. That's the record I'm inside. So here. Right click here, or you can just click here and new query, whatever works for you. And now insert into EMP. EMP is your table. You're inserting record. You're inserting record. You're inserting record in a primary. Now let's run this. So if I run it, it will be inserted. I'm going to put it in chat. And then go to secondary. Secondary you already have. So go to secondary table, right? Click on the secondary, click on new query, and you select start from EMP. And see if you got the Rajan record. If yes, you are doing awesome. Replica is done. Perfect. So let's take a small break. Meantime, I can help Rajan. And after that, we'll do Cosmos baby. Rajan, what's the question? People on phone will be back at 9:44. 9:44. People on back. Okay, 9:44 will back. You can take a break. Yes, Rajan.
Where did we say it is read replica? Did we say that?
Sorry, could you repeat again?
When we created the replica, you in the replica, it is read replica or it is write. We can write it into replica, the second one.
We can write it, but the way Azure handle is primary, write will go to primary by default. Azure handle that way. So we don't specify that because replica.
Okay, so the first one is primary. Whatever you created first, and then you created a replica that becomes a secondary, right?
And secondary normally become read only, and the first one automatically become read write. During failover,
we don't. Okay, again, a lot of automatic things are happening here, right?
Yes.
So here we specify the primary as read and write. The second replica is always read.
Yes.
Is that a true statement?
Yes.
Okay, I got it.
Read. And during failover, you can make this as a primary and this as a secondary. You can do that. But during failover, you can configure failover. You can do that. Failover, you can do that. And normally the secondary used for report purpose. So if you want to create some kind of graph, chart, if you want to create table, report purpose, people use second. Good.
Correct.
Any other questions?
So I'm good there. But so automatic part is replica is always read only, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other question?
Yes. After creating the replica, what steps did you take? If I'm not going to take it too bad.
Yeah. So first of all, you have to go to the resources. Go to. Are you here on replica?
Yes.
Then add your client. So this is your replica. Make sure you read this. This is your replica. Then go to server. Add your client. Client IP address. So click here.
Yes.
Then you will see in the middle the plus sign where you have your client IP address.
Yes.
Then save it. Just click on plus sign. All I need to say yes again one more time.
Yes.
Otherwise, I will never know, right? What is going on. That's it. Once you are done that, go to overview. So you are now going to connect. You're going to connect, yes or no? So you are going to connect. And the best way to connect is here. So did you start a connection here in your Data Explorer?
Yes. No. Okay, let me go back there.
Sorry? What should I do?
Okay, on here.
Here
Yeah,
you
I'm
don't
on this.
Here you don't need to do anything.
Okay.
So please understand, you need to have your server name. Did you copy this server?
Yes, I did.
That's it. Then follow that flow. You're establishing connection. Do you have connection string open? If not, you click on the server.
Okay. Okay.
You keep saying yes, so I can move forward. Please go ahead.
Yes.
Okay. Did you click on this plus sign?
Yes.
Then you will have connection information. Then start adding that server information, whatever the server you have. Paste your server here. Remember the server you have here. You copy this server you have here, copy that. And follow the informations. SQL login, copy your username, copy your password, and then you should be able to see your database. If you are able to see your database, it means you are able to connect. And the application already happened.
Okay.
So this will help you.
Yes.
Okay, now if you are able to connect, now you have to toggle, you have to understand what you are doing first, because this replica is a concept, and concept first you need to understand what is your primary server replicating to secondary server. So you need to understand the concept first. So you are able to see, now you go here and you insert record in any one table. So we insert a record in the employee table. We inserted, after we inserted, we went here and said, did we got that employee table? And we got it. It's everything well, right? How did I insert it? Very simple. Anytime you want to connect to the primary, you go here, right?
Mhm.
You click here, right? And you can
Yes.
go to, but you click here, right? Then you can click on the new query. Do you see the new query there? Or you can right click and click a new query, whichever works for you. You can right click a new query
Yes.
in a primary, and then you can write this insert command, which I gave you. Like that, you can type insert into EMP, right? Values, let's say 4, Ola, right? Single quotation, Ola, and paste it. Write this thing, insert into EMP values 4, Ola, and then run this command. If you run it successfully, it will run. Oh, this is master. That's one. Yeah, I had to select master. For reason it was master here.
Yes.
I had to select customer DB. So I highlighted and I ran it. So you can see here, this is the primary. In primary, I selected customer DB. I ran it. I thought this.
Yes, successful.
Now right click on the secondary one. Secondary one has a replica. Secondary one has a replica. Right click on it.
Yep.
New query. And then do
Yes.
select start from EMP. Select means read, star means all column from EMP. EMP is the table name. Now run it and you will see Ola there in the secondary, though you did not write down secondary. So you right click, new query, run that. Your table name is customer DB, and when you run this, you will see Ola. If yes, great, means replica automatically happen.
Yes, successful.
Right. Now, just to prove the point, if I do insert here, insert into EMP, right, values, I mean a replica, let's say I do 7, Kevin. just to prove the point, if I run this thing, right? If I run this thing, I got error. Rajan, I got an error. I got an error because it is redundant.
Okay.
It's a replica, so it's a redundant.
Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We'll